Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey watching 90 Day Fiancé. Let's get to the show.
You know what he came to tell you today? That today is a wonderful day because we're going to church.
We're going to church?
Yep. Why are you laughing? Going to church because I want to introduce him to God. For me, it's really important, my religion and how I feel about it.
So, as I've talked about before, there's nothing wrong with being extremely religious, or however religious she is, and wanting your husband to also be religious, and especially your religion. Nothing wrong with that. How do you navigate that? How do you navigate that in a way that respects both people, that is loving and caring, that is accepting of who someone is? Now, in some religions, they might believe that if you don't believe in their religion and you don't follow their ceremonies, then you literally go to eternal damnation, which you would think it would be your responsibility to save someone from, especially your loved one, right? So for some people, there can be a lot of rationality to pressuring someone to convert to your religion. For other people, they don't believe that. There's every belief under the sun exists, right? So let's see how they navigate this. I'm a little worried, though, because up until this point, Natalie has seemed to be less flexible when it comes to him being different than her. He seems to be accepting and flexible about her differences. Like, he's not trying to make her an atheist. Actually, he believes in aliens, which is basically an atheistic belief, I suppose. I don't know how he would term it, but he's not religious. And so he's not pressuring her to change from her religion. So let's see how they navigate this. There's a way to do this, to have very intense conversations where you might even be overtly pressuring the other person or really trying to convince them. There's a way to do that at the same time as preserving the bond, preserving the attachment, preserving your goodwill towards someone. Now, if either one of them says, you know what, this is a deal breaker. I need my husband to be of my religion. That's just a deal breaker. That's okay too. But to meet someone and know that they're not religious and then engage in a relationship with them expecting that you're going to be able to convert them, I don't know the wisdom to that.
Just let it go back and turn the wheel. Oh my God.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't kill me.
Don't
If there is a
worry.
God out there, please save me. Can I get a hallelujah here?
Yes, now you're gonna
Oh
pray.
my goodness.
Oh my God, you see, I'm a smart woman.
Oh.
One of the best things you can do as a couple is laugh. Is just have a good time, a little bit of levity. Now, you don't want to hurt people's feelings, but if you do it together, it really helps bond people. For a lot of people, this is your number one criterion is a sense of humor that you share with them. And I can attest to that. Some of my favorite moments with my wife have been when we're laughing uncontrollably for several minutes. I can think of a few moments where it was, just crying, laughing. And because I'm such a documentarian, in the middle of it, sometimes I'll pull up my camera and I'll just film my wife laughing hysterically. And then I just post like 5 seconds of that on Facebook. And people are just like, I wonder what she's laughing about. And I'm always like, if you only knew.
Who happened to be on zero and zero out when I'm gonna drive? Do you forgive me?
I will pray for forgiveness, okay?
I want Michael to be baptized so he will be Christian. I felt like I'm saving his soul.
Right. So there are belief systems, and some of you might actually be one of those people who, if someone isn't baptized or if they don't convert, then it's eternal damnation. It is hell for eternity. It is suffering for the rest of existence. And for you to not try to convert your spouse to your religion, to save, not only to stop them from going to hell, but to give them eternal grace in heaven, would be an obligation. You'd be a terrible human being if you didn't try. And you would lament every day of your life that, oh no, my spouse is going to hell. So looked at in a certain way, it's a very loving act to try, even if you're going to be forceful, to convert your spouse. Having said that, there is a way to navigate this negotiation in a way that ruins the marriage, and there's a way to not. There's a fair amount of couples that have navigated this well, and couples who have not. So I'm worried about them, honestly, on this topic, but I'll hope for the best.
I don't want to overpromise anything, baby, okay? But I am here to support you, okay? Like, it's just not in my heart right now. I don't judge people or anything for, their beliefs and stuff. I guarantee
I'm
nothing.
scared of people who don't believe in God. Because, when you follow the God, you follow particular rules in life.
All right, she's talking about why she wants to convert him. I'm using the word convert kind of liberally, but I hope you get my meaning. And she's saying that she worries about people who don't believe in God because she believes that they don't follow rules about how to behave towards other people. I'm guessing she has a belief that if you don't believe in God, then you're just free to do whatever you want to do, including harm other people. And when you believe in God, that tells you what's moral and what's not, because God is watching or God gives you rules to follow. There's nothing wrong with that belief system, but it's not accurate for sure. There are certainly people who believe in God who do terrible things, and there are people who don't believe in God who are extremely moral. So that prejudice and that stigma about people who don't believe in God is just not demonstrated in the data. And my goodness, am I stepping into a landmine field with this conversation? God knows what kind of comments I'm going to get on this one. So I hope that you get my vibe that I'm open for sure. I hope that I am not pissing anyone off. If there's one thing that you're going to anger people with, it's stepping on their religious toes. But I feel like it's important to talk about because that's what's happening right here. And I don't think we should avoid that. And as a therapist, I don't avoid it. In fact, I'm very firm with my supervisees and my trainees that you should not be avoiding religious conversations with your clients, especially if your clients are religious and are spiritual. Now, there's a lot of variability there, and there's a lot of potential problems with that. But you want to, as always, enter the world of the client. And you don't want to change that, especially when it comes to spirituality. And you want to talk about how they see things within that framework. If they had someone die, then you want to ask them, do they believe in an afterlife? Do they believe that their loved one, having died, is still around? Can they talk to them? Are they in the room with us right now? These are important questions to ask as a therapist when it comes to marriage or their own death for themselves or the meaning of their life or the meaning of family. These are important worlds to explore because if someone's depressed or they lack meaning in their life or there's a conflict happening in a couple like this, you need to start getting into the nitty-gritty with people about this. It's very important. I'm going to probably get into a lot of discussions about religion when it comes to this couple, and I hope we can all just take a deep breath. And if you have critical things to say to me, or if I trigger you, I hope that you can be kind, because I'm telling you, when I get an angry comment, it hurts because boy, am I trying not to hurt anyone's feelings, and I am mortified when I do. So I hope that you give me the benefit of the doubt. I know most of you do.
But life has rules of its own if you follow it. Yeah.
People lie, people betray, people cheat. And I don't want it in my family.
Just because I don't believe in God doesn't make me any of those things. See, now I feel like you're judging me.
I'm not judging. I'm sorry.
There's some big strengths here. One is that she's telling him how she feels. And he's like, oh, you know what? And he's keeping his voice low. And he's like, yeah, I kind of feel like you're judging me. And that's rational. She was basically saying, if you don't believe in God, you're a cheater and a terrible person, and and you're going to lie. And he's like, that doesn't seem nice. That's not me. I'm not that way. And I feel judged by that. And then she immediately was like, oh, I don't want to judge you. I'm sorry. And so I was like, oh, 2 thumbs up. But then she does this. So I don't know what this. So given what we've seen thus far, I wonder if this is one of those moments where some trauma is being triggered in her. I don't know what that is, but we saw a bit of it when her friend was saying, "Hey, is Mike? Does he have a good enough job? Because you need someone that has money." And she got that very angry stare. At least that's how I'm interpreting it. Then we've seen other instances too when she was trying to convince him to have kids, and she seemed to get that kind of rigid stare is a better way of looking at it. And my interpretation of her in those moments was something was getting triggered in her. That was a lot of emotion welling up in that moment. And she's entitled to that. I hope that we can hear more of that so that she can get the care that she needs instead of clamping down on those emotions or transferring them into anger or hostility or something. So let's see how they do here.
But I don't believe in God, That's just who I am. But it doesn't mean we can't have a loving family at the same time. Sometimes I just get worried, that Natalie can't really accept me for who I am.
I know in America maybe people count on themselves, but in my country we are raised with belief in God.
So great. She's relaxed. She's explaining where she comes from. He's listening. This is fantastic. We've seen other couples in this situation who just start yelling at each other, being critical. She even put her hand on his chest. That's a wonderful thing that you can do. It also indicates that you're relaxed enough to be able to do that and that you still have that love for that person. So this is going really great.
Understand that there is a power that helps you.
I just look at different things in a different aspect, in a different way than you do. When things happen, and you say that you need to come here and talk.
I'm kidding myself.
Huh?
All right. So it was going well, and he was explaining. So she's explaining where she comes from, and he's listening. And then he started explaining where he comes from, and then again that it seems like something is happening in her emotionally, some kind of electricity, some kind of lightning bolt to the soul that's happening for her, to use a religious metaphor. She's saying to herself, I'm kidding myself. I'm a little worried about the style in which these two communicate about this, because now, as I've been saying from the beginning, if she wants to make this and have this be a deal breaker, then that is 100% her right. If anyone wants to say, you know what, either my husband and father of my children is religious like I am, or they're open to converting to my religion, that's a deal breaker. If there's anything outside of that, it's a no-go, because that's what I need. Nothing wrong with that. So maybe she's discovering right now her deal breaker. And if she wants to break this off because of this, then it's good to know now in the beginning of the relationship. But maybe she'll adjust. Maybe she'll be flexible. And it's just a matter of a choice. Right now, she is at a crossroads. She can choose to say, I'm done. This is a deal breaker. I guess she can also choose to say, well, I'm gonna stick with this and really try to convince him. Or, you know what? He has his belief system, I have mine, and that's a bummer to me, but you can't have it all. So it's just a matter of a decision, and none of those choices are right or wrong. Any one of those choices are available to her. Now, one of the bad choices that she could make right now is, well, I'm going to make him be religious, one way or the other. He's pretty sure in his belief system, but I don't care about what he wants. I don't care about his beliefs. I'm going to make him change. I'm going to coerce him and force him to change. I don't know if that would work, but that would be a bad choice. So there's a lot of good choices available to her and some bad ones. Let's see what happens.
My life is all about faith. I don't know if I want to marry Mike if he doesn't believe in God.
Now, it could have been one of those things you worked out before you got engaged. I'm just going to throw that out there. Now, it's possible that for her, and she said this basically, was that everyone in her country, or at least the majority, are of her religion. I don't know if that's true, but she was basically saying that. So maybe she's never been in a situation like this where she has to consider, what is it like to be with someone that isn't religious? And so maybe it's a sudden realization. But these are the kinds of deal breakers that, so if we're going to use this as a jumping off point, for all you people out there who are dating or are thinking about it, it might be a good idea to really think about your deal breakers. And the biggies are religion, having kids, where you're going to live. That's another thing that people often get messed up about. If his family is in Kansas and your family is in California, where are you going to live? Are you going to live in Kansas? Are you going to live in California? Are you going to live somewhere else? What are you going to do there? What's the long-term plan? Now, in the first few dates, you're probably not going to be talking about that because you don't know if you want to marry this person, obviously. But at some point, those kinds of conversations have to be had, and they need to be well in advance of when you have to make the choice. I've seen a lot of couples who wish they hadn't have fallen in love. They're like, well, I fell in love with this person, we had kids, and he wants to live in Kansas. And so my choice now is either I divorce him and I don't want to do that, and now we get in a custody battle and I move back to California because I really want to be with my parents and my cousins and my friends and my neighborhood. I don't like it in Kansas. These are things that you should absolutely be thinking about in advance. And it's something that people don't think about because it's not really present. When you're dating someone, it's long distance. All you have are the good times, and you're not really thinking about, well, what are the logistics of our relationship? And now love is hard to find, so sometimes you just got to find it where you're going to find it. But I find that a lot of people don't think about, if this relationship continues, where are you going to live? I feel like a lot of people think like, well, you can just live anywhere. And, you can always just fly home. We can live in Kansas and you just fly home to California every now and then. We have enough money. You can fly or we can drive, a road trip. The reality is that those kinds of trips are difficult to coordinate. And there's a lot of suffering that can happen from that. Now, if you fall in love with someone in Kansas and you live in California and it's just the love of your life, then maybe it's worth the sacrifice. But I wish that people would consider that sacrifice in the beginning, that they're like, I know it's only been 6 months with this person, but boy, am I in love. His family's in Kansas, mine's in California, and he's here temporarily in California, and I bet you he wants to move back to Kansas. Should I be nipping this in the bud at this point? because I am not moving from California, and I wonder how he feels about Kansas. Now, that's a terrible choice to make. You've fallen in love with someone that you just break up with just because of that reason. I don't know, but the point is that I've seen a lot of people suffer in this exact scenario of the moving situation. Obviously, again, religion, and they're having that conundrum. He is saying, I'm not going to convert, and I'm not even going to go to church. And she's saying, I don't know if I can be in a relationship like that. And so those are just choices that you just have to make. He's hoping that she will be flexible to him, and she has to, the ball is in her court now. She has to make that choice. And either way, I guess we're going to see what happens. As I always say, never use YouTube, particularly my videos, as a replacement for therapy. If you need therapy, get your own therapist. You deserve it. That is the end of that reaction video that I did today. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.